Hey guys, this is actually Mike from Baltimore Rides, and you're going to be seeing a slightly different screen. This is the start of my tax video, and I wanted to do using the screenshot grabber, so that's why you see all the buttons and interface instead of just the camera. I'm actually recording using MobiZen, which is a screenshot recorder. But I've got the forward-facing or the selfie-facing camera setting on so you can see my face for just a minute. And I want to talk for just a minute. You guys know me, I talk a lot. But I want to talk about what it is this video is about because I don't want people to be mistaken, okay? I'm not a legal tax preparer. I'm not a CPA. I don't do taxes on the side for other people. Like, that's not my thing. But I've been filing my own taxes for more than a decade. Almost 2 decades, honestly. And what I've learned over the years using my own brain, filing my own taxes, doing research, and then using software apps as they became available, you know, like TurboTax and things like that over the years, is that there's a framework. And once you understand the framework and the rules of the game, it becomes a lot easier to understand what taxes are all about. So I'm not going to talk tax code. I'm not going to talk, you know, junk technical terms. What I'm going to talk about is, as an Uber Lyft driver, these are the things we need to be looking for. These are the things we need to have, you know, kind of like your equipment list, if you will, of what materials you need before you can get started. And these are the types of things you can deduct or exempt. And so I will talk about it, deductions and exemptions. I will talk about income. And I will talk about some other stuff, but it just flipped back to the main desktop of my phone. But, you know, I'm going to talk about a lot of different things, but I'm not doing it as a this is how to file taxes in America video. It's more of this is what things you need to be prepared for, what you need to bring with you, and what you need to be looking for when you file your Uber Lyft taxes. And I will talk about what I feel are optimizations, meaning the things that are going to be the most efficient and get you the best return. So I will kind of put my 2 cents into that. I'm going to be using my own tax documents. I've kind of blacked out like my name, address, social, but I didn't black out numbers. And I'm okay with showing you guys what I made last year. Because honestly, if you guys wanted to, you could go back and watch every one of my videos and just write down how much I made and add it all up, and you'd kind of get the gist of it. So at the end of the day, most of you guys kind of know how much I made this year. And I'm okay with that. But it's important that I talk about this with real numbers. Now, I've screenshotted my actual tax returns, a couple of the pages that I think are relevant to ride sharing. Like, I'm not going to screenshot every page of my tax form because I have filed already, but I'm going to screenshot the ones that are specific to ride sharing because I think that's the part that you guys need to see is the ride sharing piece of taxes. So this is going to be a lot of little videos snipped together. That's why I'm using MobiZen, because that way if I do it all on MobiZen, then it'll at least be the same frame rate, the same vocal speed rate, audio rate, all that stuff will be the same. So splicing should be a lot easier and it should be less choppy. So, you know, get back, get comfortable. I would probably have a pen and paper nearby because this is a video you probably want to take notes on. And I'm going to go through things in a format that's, you know, typical Mike fashion, not necessarily linear. And that's for a reason. There is a rhyme to my reason. You know, there's a method to my madness. So just wanted to do an intro, you know, for a few minutes, just kind of tell you what's coming so that when you start to see these next segments or next pieces that I've spliced together, you'll get it. Okay, guys, buckle up. We're in for a ride. Okay, guys, we are going to get started talking about taxes. But to do that, the first thing I need to talk about is what went into 2017. So I'm going to go into my QuickBooks app, and I'm just going to walk you through some of the things in 2017 that are going to become very significant conversation points for last year. So obviously what you can see is my dashboard. You can see, let me get out of this. Okay, let's go away. Let's go to last year. So there's my last year summary. And my last year summary shows you, and these are real numbers, guys. These are everything that I've entered into QuickBooks. So it shows you income right there next to business profit. You know, profit, it says I made $14,594 in profit, $30,331 in income, and I spent $15,000 in change. Below that, excuse me, you've got my mileage. Now, these are my actual miles. So when I touch the screen, it moves the needle, because if I want to click on a certain month, it'll show me that month. So that's why the number keeps twiddling. But business mileage shows you how many miles I logged from when I started, and I started in May, until December. And beside it is the mileage deduction, already calculated by QuickBooks based on the federal deduction rate. So 50,000 miles equates to $26,800 in mileage deduction. Now, my other top deductions are, now if you look at all my deductions, you see why car and truck says $26,893. That is basically the mileage. The other business expenses, the meals and entertainment, and the home office expenses are all money that I spent through my transactions. So if I go into my transactions and I go to reviewed, and you can see right here. So what I do is, let me get to like, business is the one that has the little building next to it. Personal has the little like human head. Everything basically gets coded as either business or personal. Meals are business related. Fuel is business related. Vehicle expenses are business related. So anything that I think is being used for the business, whether it's a positive, a deposit, or whether it's a negative, a deduction, they're all expenses that I'm tracking and I'm dividing into what's personal and what's business related. Now, for it to be business related, it literally has to be something that helped you benefit yourself while you were doing Uber, Lyft. That means fuel for the car, cleaning supplies for the car, you get a cell phone holder that sticks to your window or your dash, your Easy Pass, you buy an aux cord for your customers to listen to music, whatever. As long as it's something that's being used for work purposes, you want to keep record of it. Now, let's flip one other page here. So let's go to annual taxes. Okay, so again, the top numbers are the same. Okay, the top numbers show me income and spending. But now what you've got here is you've got your Schedule Cs. And Schedule Cs show you either your spending habits, so what money you spent that you can potentially get a deduction or an exemption on. So I spent $9,000 on fuel. That's basically what went into this. It's pretty much fuel. I expense a portion of my insurance, my Easy Pass, but it's predominantly fuel. So you can see, Shell, Highs, it's gas stations, Royal Farms. My car insurance is built into that, and a couple other little things are built into that, like the Easy Pass, but that's considered a vehicle expense. Contract labor is a small one, but it's one of the internet softwares that I use. Home office expenses, so anything that you want to try and expense. Now, you're not necessarily going to get all this. The home office requirements are very specific, but anything that you're using at home that you think potentially can constitute a home office. So your home internet, your home computer, if you're using your Wi-Fi from your cable or your whatever, those types of things. If you have a small desk, and you're buying supplies at home, like for me, obviously some of my YouTube videos, I do some stuff, on the side that's, on the back end of it, that's this stuff. Meals and entertainment, obviously that's food you're eating while you're on the job. And that's a sticky one because the tax code breaks that down into two different categories. There's things you can 100% expense and things you can 50% expense. So we'll get into that in a little bit. Other business expenses are just miscellaneous. So like cleaning supplies at Walmart, cell phone holder, things like that. repairs and maintenance on the car. And I think that year it was, I think all I bought last year that was for the car was like radiator fluid and stuff like that. But you know, any kind of chemicals that you want to, that you buy yourself. Like there's a, in 2018, I bought a light bulb because one of my headlights went out. So, you know, for 2018, that'll be in there. So your business spending, you can see I spent $16,000 and change. Now deductions, you know, that's kind of the number we just looked at. There's the car and truck mileage, which is the 26,000. And there's, you know, some of that other stuff. So meals and entertainment, other business expenses. These are things I'm going to be able to get deductions off of. My home office expenses come out because right now QuickBooks doesn't know enough. It doesn't know if I qualify for home office expense. So it's taking it right out of the Schedule C deductions line. It's telling me you might get it, but you might not. So, you know, there's things in there that all of a sudden you say, well, where did the money go? It's not there. But down at the bottom, you see my total business deduction is $2,836. That's everything except the car and truck line. So that's the $1,300 for meals and the $1,300 for other business, and then a little bit of oddball stuff. So this is an important part of this conversation, guys, because what I'm doing is I'm not teaching you how to file your taxes. That's something that really takes, you really have to study on, and that would not be one video. What I'm teaching you is what things are going to be important for your taxes as an Uber driver or Lyft driver. And so for me, QuickBooks is the start. How well you kept your records is really everything. I got a request, so I'm going to wrap it up here, guys, and I will be back in a minute. Okay, the last thing I want to talk about with QuickBooks, guys, is not on the screen. So just ignore what you're seeing for the minute. If you're not saving your receipts, your actual paper receipts, you're in trouble. Now, QuickBooks is great. It allows you to, and I'll go to the spot, like, I actually don't digitally scan my receipts, but if I go in, I can actually see where there's that little cameras thing down like on the bottom third of the page where it says attach receipt. I can take a picture of the receipt and save a digital copy of the receipt and then throw away the piece of paper. Now, from a disciplinary standpoint, I probably should have done that already, but I'm saving all my receipts. I literally shove them in a manila envelope, I write the month on them, and then I file them away. So I have tons of manila envelopes worth of stuff. But, and I'm just going to keep talking for just a second while I go pick this customer up. If you're not saving your receipts, those expenses cannot be itemized. So it doesn't matter that you swiped left or right on the QuickBooks app and said it's business or personal. If you didn't save a copy of the receipt to prove it, you can't claim it as a deduction. So things that you pay with cash and you throw the little receipt away, you know, you buy a cup of coffee at Dunkin' Donuts and you don't save your receipt, you can't itemize that expense. So just know that, because that's going to be a problem down the road. So you want to save all your receipts. If you're savvy and you're electronically, you know, good about that stuff and you want to take time and just make digital pictures of them all, that's fine. But save your receipts or take digital pictures of them and then connect them through like a QuickBook app or something, because you have to have those itemized receipts to be able to get that expense. So I'm done talking about QuickBooks now. We're going to move on and look at some actual tax documents and kind of build this cake to the next level. So now that we got the ingredients, we're going to start putting it together so you guys can see what it all boils down to. And we'll pick that up in a minute. Okay, guys, I am back. I wanted to go into some of the documents that you're going to download or get a paper copy of from both Uber and Lyft and how they come into play. So we've talked about what record keeping you need to do during the year in order to maximize your deductions. Okay, so that's step one in the process. The second step in that process is going to be how to read the tax documents that you get from Uber and from Lyft. So I've got screenshotted images here. I'm in like my gallery, excuse me, and I'm just gonna show you guys some of them. So that's actually the screen I wanna be at. So let me go into the right ones. So this is my Lyft 1099K. Now there's two different types of 1099s that you will get with Uber and Lyft. You'll get a 1099K, which is the traditional document for a self-employed or contracted employee. And it basically itemizes how much money you made. The other one is a 1099 miscellaneous. And so that is a document that says, bonus money or incentives or tips, things like that will go into a 1099 miscellaneous. But I'm going to zoom in. You can obviously see here, it's the Lyft document. It's got my name on it. I forgot to block out my address. Oh well, there's that. My social is where that orange bar would be. But what it shows you here in gross, which is line 1A, right underneath the orange, I made with Lyft in 2017, $3,292. Now, you guys know I started with Lyft back in July, August, but I didn't really use it too much. I did 262 transactions or trips, and then it breaks down below that what months and how much you made by month. Now, here's where it gets a little tricky, okay? These numbers, that 3,292, that is the total amount of money that Lyft charged my customer for those trips, not what I got paid. And I'm going to show you what I mean by this in an example, okay? So here's Uber's, same thing, here's Uber's 1099K. I got my information kind of blocked out. Line 1A, right below the orange, it says gross amount of payment, so $42,279. And again, there's the month's breakdown right there. But these are the fees that I got, that got charged to the customer in those months. If you look at October, for an example, $7,123. I did not make $7,000 in October. I was making roughly $1,000 a week, but nowhere near $7,000. I've got a ride, guys, so I'm going to be back in a minute. Okay, guys, so I was talking about 1099s. Obviously, this is the Uber 1099 that I received. You can see my monthly allotments. And the last thing I'd mentioned before I got my ride request was that the amounts you see here are what Uber, just like the Lyft one, what Uber charged the customer. So the customer paid $42,000 or $7,000 in October, whatever the case may be. That's not the money I received. Now, last piece of the puzzle. This is Uber's 1099 miscellaneous. And so zooming out a little bit, you can see right there on the left, number 7, I received $3,967 from Uber in miscellaneous payments. Now, those payments are Quest and Boost, or any other promotion that they offered where I got incentivized extra money towards a trip. Excuse me. Now, Uber itemizes that separately, and I think it's a good thing that they do. So just be mindful of that, that you're going to look for both of those documents if you have them. Now, I'm going to flip to the next screen. Oops, wrong direction. Hang on a second. Let me get back to where I need to go, which is my tax summary. Now for Lyft, because I didn't do enough, they didn't create a PDF of my tax summary, but Lyft's tax summary shows up on their app. And basically all their summary is it just shows you what the total fees are, and you just have to do subtraction and back it out. So it's kind of a simplified tax summary. Uber's tax summary is very specific, and that's the one we're going to talk about, because I think it's the more educational of the two to use. So you see right here, this is my summary of expenses, fees, and tax. And what that means is this is the amount of fees and expenses that came out of that original number, that 42,000 number that was charged to the customer. And that's super important because that's not money I got. That's money that I ended up giving to Uber. That's the tax explanation here that I want you guys to get in your head. The customer pays $42,000, or customers over time pay $42,000. But that $42,000 breaks down into two people get money. I get some of it and Uber gets some of it. And this is what Uber got. If it's not income that I got, I should not be taxed on it. So I have to itemize it as expenses. So let me just go through it here and just kind of, I'm going to zoom in so you can see what it looks like. So Uber partner fees, service fees, exchange charges, that's part of my lease, booking fee, split fare fee, airport fees, instant pay charges, and then there's a next page. So $8,245 in service fees, $3,100 in booking fees, in exchange fees, $57.27 in booking, $35 is the small one, that's split fare fees, $807 in airport fees, that's predominantly going to be BWI, and then the last page is fuel card charges. For those of you that are using Uber's fuel card, you actually get back money, and this is an itemized expense. So these are charges that you've incurred and you can expense. So you see right there, and then also they break down additional subsidiaries referral incentives, $39.67. So this breaks down all the things that you get paid, and all the things that Uber takes away from your pay. And that's kind of the analogy is they pay you the $42,000, but then you pay them back the fees. Now on the app, it doesn't look that way. And that's where people get twisted up. On the app, I do a trip, I get paid my $375 minimum, end of story. But Uber and the rest of the world don't itemize that way. They don't give you your tax documents on just what you got paid. They have to break it down this way. And they have to break it down as to, this is what the customer got charged, $10. And out of that $10, there was $6.25 in fees, and then $3.75 is the remainder. And we have to itemize the fees and take that out. So just remember for a second, so let's go to total, right there in gray, total expenses, fees, and tax, $19,420. I can go back to this screen, and there's all the itemized charges. This is kind of like table 1 and table 2. So $19,000, there it is, $19,420 in fees. Now, if I jump back to this, okay, this is my tax return. This is my Schedule C, a specific part of my tax return, not my personal part, but this shows you guys part 1, income. I made $49,000 in change between Uber and Lyft, okay? Part 2 is expenses. So you can see line number 9 is going to be my car and truck expenses, which is my mileage. There's some other things in there that I got to expense out. But then you can see right there, other expenses, line 27A, other expenses, $19,027, okay? And that's all those fees that Uber took, plus other stuff. The other stuff being cleaning supplies, miscellaneous, etc. Okay, so that's where your itemization needs to occur. Is you need to have that other expenses taken out, because I don't think I got the whole, I didn't get the second page, but you take that 49,000 and then you subtract out basically everything from line 8 down. So you subtract out the $8, the $28, the $13.80, the $808, the $13.19, $35.43, the $19,000, etc., etc., and that's where you get all of your expenses taken out, and it lowers your profit amount. And that lowering of your profit amount determines, okay, how much am I going to be actually taxed on? So let me see if there's one more page I want to show you. Yeah, this page right here. Okay, so in other expenses, this is a separate part of my Schedule C, my business thing. I've actually itemized, there's my apps, software, and web services, $139. But there's all those fees that came from my tax summary from the Uber summary. My Uber service fees, my Uber exchange fees, Uber booking fees. All I did was add the word Uber to the front, so I knew what they were. And then I added some startup costs that I'm able to tax deduct. So that's where $19,027 comes from. It's all those fees that Uber just gave me that they're saying, you're not taxed on this, take it out. And that's what you do, you take that out. So that takes you to, let me just back out of this all the way. Okay, that's the nutshell piece of this. Now, I've already filed my taxes, so I don't have like the TurboTax software where I can go into it and play and show you page by page by page. And honestly, I'm not comfortable enough in misrepresenting myself. I don't want to represent myself as a tax CPA. So I'm not showing you how to file your taxes. What I'm talking about is what rideshare specific stuff you need to take into account. So the first part was obviously QuickBooks and knowing what you can itemize, knowing what you can expense, and knowing what things to save record of, receipts, etc., mileage. Part 2 is those documents that we just looked at. Your 1099s from both Uber and Lyft, and then your tax summary, which is the list of all the fees that Uber got. They got their portion. That's the money they got that I didn't get. And that's where, if you remember, let me switch back to, oh yeah, you know where I'm gonna show you it on a different screen. Okay, if you switch back to here, just bear with me, guys. And you can see my income was $30,331. That number is basically the difference between what Uber got and what I deducted out in Uber fees. Now that number might be a little bit different. It's got Lyft number in there. It's got some other stuff in there, but that's basically where you get that math. Okay, so and then out of that 30,000 comes your spending. And that's what brings you down to 14,000. And this is the goal here, guys. I'm just going to talk for a second, broad brush. The goal here when you're filing your taxes, and I don't do anything shady, I don't do anything illegal, I don't omit, I don't add deductions that aren't legitimate, I don't play that sneaky game. But the goal with Uncle Sam is, especially as a business person, the tax code is written for businesses, is that you want to itemize and expense out everything you can. You want to show the least amount of taxable profit possible. The least amount of taxable profit possible. And that's important. So every penny you spend that's business related, record it, save it, and then find a way to either itemize it into your expenses or take a standard deduction. Now, you can standard deduct some things, but you have to itemize other things. Mileage. I can either take all my vehicle expenses that I've saved receipts on, or I can take the mileage deduction. Now, that's the important debate here. I've taken the mileage deduction because it got me $26,000 and change. If I had taken the standard, I would add up all those gas receipts, I'd add up all my insurance portion that I can deduct and all that other stuff. And if it added up to more than $26,000, I would have taken the itemized deduction, but it didn't. The mileage deduction is the way to go. If you're driving an Escalade or something that gets like 10 miles to the gallon, you might be better off because you might have a higher fuel expense. Or you're driving a BMW that needs like ultra premium, whatever, then maybe your vehicle expenses receipted are going to be higher, but mileage is a phenomenally easy way to go. And it's done that way to be easy for everyone. The government wants us to be simple. They want to just take a mileage deduction. They want standard deductions. They want templates. They don't want to have to go through every one of your receipts, just like we don't want to go through every one of our receipts. So track your mileage, save your log, and do it that way. That's my personal preference, and I think most of the time for Uber and Lyft, it's going to be the faster and more financially beneficial way to go. So the more accurate your mileage log is, the better. The minute I leave my house, my apps are on, and so every mile driven until I turn my apps off and I drive home is expensed. It's not just while you've got a passenger in your car. It's not just while you're on the way to pick them up. It is every moment that my app is on and I'm working. I am seeking out customers. I'm in the mode of business. And that's an important distinction. Taxi cab drivers do the same thing. Doesn't matter. If their light's on and they're waiting for a customer, they're working. If you're a truck driver, doesn't matter if you got a load behind you or you're on your way to pick that load up. If you're driving your truck, you're probably not driving it to McDonald's to get a snack. You're probably driving it to work, to pick up a load and take it to wherever you're going, etc., etc., etc. So think about these expenses and think about how much you have to itemize and how much you have to be good at recording everything, saving everything. If you want to be that person that just throws all your receipts in the glove box or the center console, and then once a month you take them out and you just stick them in an envelope, that's fine. God forbid you get audited. The odds are very slim, but God forbid you do. You can hand them all those envelopes and say, good luck. And then they'll sort them and they'll go through them. But anything you didn't receipt, you can't deduct. If you're going the itemized deduction. If you take your mileage, then all you have to do is produce your mileage log. And then you only need to save the receipts for the other stuff, like your cleaning supplies and things like that. So think about that, guys. It's very, very important. So I'm going to wrap it up here. I'm going to splice these all together. But I wanted to be specific about this. This is not how to file your taxes. I can talk about that. I'm very confident in that. But how to file your personal taxes is a whole lot more steps than just your Uber ride-sharing taxes, your Lyft ride-sharing taxes. Your Schedule Cs, your business profit and loss statement, that's basically what we just talked about. And really, when you fill that out, or you go to your tax preparer and they fill it out, what you're doing is you're just plugging in lines. This is how much I'm taking a deduction from my mileage. These are other business expenses I incurred. This is how much profit I received from Uber and Lyft from the 1099s. These are all the fees that I deduct out under other business expense line. So that's where you take money that came in minus money that went out, and that's where you get that end number. That's what am I being taxed on. And then obviously all your personal stuff stays the same. You have kids, you got a mortgage, you paid for student loans, all that other stuff, your standard deductions for being a human being, they all still count too. But your business profit and loss is what we're talking about here. If you have any questions that are more specific, please let me know. I just got a ride request. I'm going to wrap this up, edit it up, and get it up on the web for you guys. See you guys later. Bye.